The Conversation Podcast with a K celebrates Women's History Month. Sheryl Sandberg stated, "We need women at all levels, including the top, to change the dynamic, reshape the conversation, to make sure women's voices are heard and heeded, not overlooked and ignored." Women have made many contributions in impacting every spectrum of society in the world. The Conversation Podcast honors and salute you. Happy Women's Month. We may have made many strides throughout the years. They have made an impact on 7 mountains of influence, which is family, religion, business, education, arts, media, and politics. Have you considered sponsoring? You can Cash App us or set up recurring monthly donations. Our Cash App is $RareImage26. For recurring contributions, scan the QR code at the bottom. The Conversation Podcast highlights 2 businesses every month. If you want your business to be mentioned, email us at rareimage26@gmail.com with your information.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy, Darnell Tate, here with the Conversation Podcast. I am super excited today about this conversation we're about to have. This is what I need you to do. I need you to tag all your friends and family and let them know that the Conversation Podcast is on. Let's give our guest, Adriana Woolfolk, a round of applause.
Hey,
Asia, how are you
everybody.
doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
I am doing wonderful on this lovely day. I'm excited about life right now.
I
A
know that's
lot is
right.
going on. Yeah, life is lifing. But hey, God is still Godding. That's my little phrase now that I stole from my sister.
All right now.
So, what's going on in your world?
What's going on in my world? Student life, work life, let's see, spiritual life, and just a conglomerate of all of the three. Trying to make all 3 of those things exist at the same time.
So, how's that working out for you?
Some days it's working. Some days it don't work. Some days it don't work. But through God's grace, still gracefully going through it.
Going through it. I feel you. Just had a conversation with my son not too long ago about being an adult, and I had to explain to him like, hey man, those kid days are over with.
Yeah,
That's serious responsibilities, and we did our best to try to prepare you for these things, and now you got to learn how to make adult decisions, and sometimes things just don't work out. They just don't mesh well some days, and there are days where you got to go home, lay down, and say, tomorrow we just gonna start back over.
try it again. Try it again tomorrow. I had a friend that used to say, "New day, new mercy. New days, new mercies." Like
New days,
that
new
was
mercy.
something she said all the time. And so at the end of the night, we'll be going through something, or you know. The day would have just done defeated us, and she would say, "Well, new day, new mercies." And so that's something I take with me every morning. And we just gonna try it again. If it didn't work out today, try it again.
And that's a positive way to look at it, because I'm gonna be honest. Some days it was difficult to do. I guess I'm 45
Hmm.
now, and I am learning that tomorrow is a new day, and you can start afresh. Give your life a new perspective, or see the situation from a new angle. That
Absolutely.
way. And looking from that, I'm less stressful. Thinking about how bad it was yesterday. I'm like, okay, this did
Yeah.
happen, but how can we adjust in this moment to make things better than what it was?
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So our topic for today is challenge accepted. And so this is Women's History Month, and we spent these couple Sundays talking about the power of the woman, and the different perspectives and angles of women, and how they achieve what they achieved. and it's been pretty good. Exciting, delightful, and informative. Jonisha and Cheryl did a phenomenal job talking about their life stories and how they overcame their situations. And I want to say thank you for accepting this challenge to come on the podcast and talk with us. It's nice to have you here.
Well, I'm glad to be here. I told you earlier that you are such a visionary, and when it comes to you, a lot of the challenges that you put before me, I think you're one person that challenges me more than you probably know. But I gladly accept these challenges because I'm better because of it. But also, I love being able to serve a visionary like yourself that is within my family. And so the fact that you're doing this, I can't help but to be on board and accept whatever challenge that you put in front of me with a smile, even
You
though
know
I'm kind of
what?
shaking in my boots internally.
Yeah.
But for
It,
you, I'll gracefully and gratefully accept any challenge that you put before me. Come on, cousin.
man, the funny part about it is that I can see deeply into people and their potential. And I can say I never had opportunities to people who speak to me, but I never had nobody sit me down and literally talk to me about what they saw. And so when I see giftings in other people, and I'm like, hey, I think you can do well with this, push forward. This looks like you, this fits you well. Let's look at opportunities that we can pull these giftings out of you.
Yeah.
And you was one of the women. Well, you was a young girl at the time, and I remember the first time because I think for a couple of years, we was not estranged, but life happened and we went our
Yeah.
separate
Yeah.
ways. You know, and you was, I think you was just in elementary school at that particular time, and then when we reconnected, you was leaving not elementary but junior high, and you began to climb the ranks of school. And I remember when you first opened up your mouth, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this girl is smart. She is super smart. Like your thought process was far advanced than your peers." And I was like, and I told your mom, I was like, you just create you a mini you. That's what you did. Like at the end of the day, that's exactly what you did." And conversing with you reminded me of me and Chantel's conversations when we was growing up. Like your mom, such an amazing woman, very
She is.
intelligent and powerful in many ways. And so I was like, wow. And I knew that you was gifted, in a lot of areas. And as I began to listen to you, I was like, yeah, she gonna shake the world. She's definitely gonna shake the world. So Asia, tell us a little something about you for the world to hear.
Something about me. I am just your average girl, navigating a world as best as I can, um, through the lens and through the help of, Jesus Christ. I think that's always, my number one thing that I want to put forth into the world. And if I can share anything about my story or how I got where I am, and the fact that I'm still climbing, but all of that is, the work of Christ. And so just going through, like I said, through his grace, just navigating a crazy world as a 20 something, and just trying to be great, trying to make it, this regular average girl trying to make it and trying to be something in life. So to hear you pour into me that way, having to accept that, and that's been my whole life, right? Like taking these things that people see within me that I never saw, and not necessarily I feel like being boxed in by that, but essentially freed by that. Um outwardly, like people, like, my family and my close friends, my community, like letting me know, like, hey, you're somebody, you're amazing, you're extraordinary. And then, battling, other people that are not saying that, right? Like other people that are actively speaking against that and of who I am, and internalizing that and beginning to speak that into who I was as well, and letting that become my identity. But y'all were louder. The people that loved me were louder. And even this is even before I knew Christ. Y'all were so loud and so vocal about the fact that you are somebody and you are extraordinary, to the point where I had to believe it. And then, fast forwarding to college, and a friend introducing me to Christ, for myself, because I grew up in church, but introducing me to Christ and and inviting me to have a relationship with him for myself, and finding out this was the Father's plan all along.
Yeah.
He exactly what, my family and, my loved ones were echoing to me, was exactly, how my father felt about me as well, how Jesus felt about Asiana. And so doing my best to live that out, living as if I am God's most beloved, and trying to navigate that, while once again, a world that is telling me that is not true, um, still trying to exist through that. So that is who I am. Some days you can catch me actively struggling, uh, trying to figure this stuff out. If you see me,
Right.
I might look like I'm in a struggle. I might look like it. But y'all fuel me. The people that pour into me, y'all fuel me so much, and it just makes this journey so much easier, having those people that you are loved by and connected to and doing life with, to just remind you along the way that you are extraordinary. And
You,
so that's me.
is the funny part about it. I never seen you look like you was actively struggling. It always appeared that you was together. I'm serious. Like, and the only reason why we're family, so I was privy to some stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
But from a distance, I'm looking like, my, she ain't struggling like that. Because you wear it so well. So my question to you is like, where did you get that strength from? Like, I understand Jesus, but what was your earthly example of strength that you saw that made you want to keep pushing and fighting?
Oh, so in the previous answer I kind of gave, just my family and loved ones, y'all really, really did. Like I said, I, had no clue when I was younger in my teen years of exactly what I possessed. People would always, I think it started in middle school, where I really just knew, you are really, really intelligent. And I didn't see it myself. I was just going through the motions, and trying to survive, middle school bullying, all type of stuff, all type of different struggles like within my faith around that time as well. So just like really trying to navigate, what is life? What is this world, and how am I going to get through it? But through all of that, having people that tell me like, hey girl, you're smart, do
Mhm.
you know that you are different? Do you know that you're special? And having that motivation and that encouragement. And so when I got into high school, then that turned into, okay, how do I translate that, this is what people are seeing that love me and know me. This is what they're seeing. And how do I turn that into, this is reflected from me? How do I make that happen? And so then that's, I think, around that time as well, just role models. So I would look at, my mother, I would look at, my aunts, I would look at my teachers, how did they carry themselves? These women that I find, the things that people are pouring into me, these are the people that I see reflecting that. And so now how do I model that? That's how that transition happened. I feel like I saw women that embodied these things that people were telling me that I possessed, and I just watched them and I studied them, And I said, this is what confidence looks like. Even though you don't have it, we're gonna practice that. This is what it looks like. Um, Even though you don't feel like you can lead, this is what a leader looks like. um the grace and the kindness that you don't even know that people are receiving. This is what a graceful and a kind woman looks like, and studying that, and in turn modeling that, to where that has become, for almost to where it was like a mask,
Yeah.
until it became me, and it became who I am, and who I convey to the world.
Oh wow. You said so much, and I'm trying to unpack it in my mind to ask the questions. So you talked about bullying,
Okay.
that you would personally experience that. So how did that affect you, and how did that shape you, and did it push you into the direction that you need to go? No, let's talk about that.
Oh, it pushed me. All right. I don't know. And I guess, everything has purpose. I do really believe that everything has purpose. Um, when you're that age, I don't even know if young people know necessarily what bullying does to somebody. Necessarily, I think is being that young and bullying someone, a lot of times it's reflecting of whatever they're experiencing, or whatever they might be receiving from somewhere else.
That's true.
So but being the recipient of that, you're not even considering what they could be going through that is making them treat you this way. I think now I have a lot more, empathy, and I can look back and reflect and think about, some of the things that um, my peers might have been going through that caused them to, try to belittle me or make me feel small. Um, but yeah, I think that it did in a way shape and push me, to be who I am today. Um, I hate that I had to experience that. It's hard going through it, and at that age, you wonder, like, will I ever get out of this? Will I ever get through it? Um, and that's why I try so hard to tell people, like, you do. And it's hard to explain that to somebody, but like, you do get through it when you get past it. And you grow you grow from it, and you become better because of it. So I think it's necessary, and I do feel in a way that it shaped me, to be who I am today. Now, would I say that you know I would do it all over again? Absolutely not. No. Keep your mean comments to yourself.
So let me, when was the moment that you snapped and like, I ain't taking this? Okay, you bullying me, and it's making me feel some type of way. When was the moment you stood up for yourself? Not saying fighting the person, but you stood within yourself, like, man, I'm all this. Forget what you say about me and what you're trying to place on me.
Yeah.
I'm that person. So when was the waking up moment for you?
I think about the eighth grade. I think that period there was so transitional for me personally. And I don't know if this aligns with like developmental milestones and practices. However, eighth grade was just so enlightening for me. I remember that being the exact time where I realized, like, you know, I am I realized my own intelligence. I think a lot. I realized that, I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna toot my own horn a little bit,
Mhm. Go
but
ahead, toot your horn. Toot it. Toot it.
but I realized that other people weren't where I was academically. I think that I found beauty and purpose in so many like outward things, and so much like vanity. Um, and it was very hard because I didn't feel like I looked like other people. I felt different. I didn't feel like I looked like other people or dressed like other people. So that is where I found value, right? Like in causing me not to feel value within myself. And then I realized, like, hey, I have this thing that other people don't have too. So I'm like, am I better? Like, has this, so I did also have to find some humility. Had to find that
Mhm.
as well. But finding that thing that made me special. And in turn, realizing that you can't treat me like this. You can't talk to me any kind of way. When you get on my level, then you can approach me as approach me as somebody that is beneath you. But while I have this thing, that, as my mama was telling me, God has put inside of me, you can't treat me any kind of way, and I'm not going to accept that either, because a part of it is also a part of bullying. What a lot of people don't know is also accepting that behavior, and accepting that treatment towards you and believing what they're telling you. um and so I think that that began to be that turning point in my story, in which I realized I'm no longer gonna be defeated by what these people are telling me. And yes, some things still happen. I still experience things, of course, past that time. But though that was a time in which I stood up and I said, I don't have to accept this box that you're trying to put me in. And I have something that makes me special too. So
So you
yeah, that
discover
was,
you discover your superpower.
I discovered my superpower. And after that, you couldn't take that away from me. Yeah,
Man, discovery is so wonderful.
it is.
It's just like you start discovering or noticing value that you didn't see before. And when you notice that, and people like, oh, this about you, and everybody's like, forget that. I know who I am.
It's
I
like the lights
understand.
turned on, you know? It's like they turning the light bulb is turning on, that awakening within yourself about who you are. And then I feel like you go through a whole other one. Like, I know everybody's, not a believer, but a whole other one, when you find out more about God, about Christ, and his plans, for your life and who he calls you to be. That's a whole other one. It's like, okay, you have this maybe teenage coming of age, and you're like, okay, finally I'm arriving. And then, you fast forward, like for at least in my story, you fast forward to the part where you give God your yes. And finally, like, once again, like, that light bulb just comes on and you have this awakening. So it is something very freeing about that discovery. It is.
Man, um, it is. It really is. Especially being a young woman who happens to be black and experiencing a whole lot of things and hearing a whole lot of negativity.
Mm.
Um, what you can become, what you can't become. This is your placement. And matter of fact, I just had a conversation just the other day about how women are still viewed as having a place. Now, I understand that each of us play a unique role in this society,
Yeah.
but to box an individual in based upon their sexual orientation is really, in my opinion, handicapping the gifting of God to the earth.
Yeah,
When I tell
absolutely.
you, like, because you're a woman that you can't climb this ladder, I'm handicapping God's gift to the earth. So
Yeah.
how did you navigate or use that, your superpower, to not allow what people felt was your sexual orientation, as far as you being a female, to stop you from being you?
Mm. I think that realizing what my superpower was just very impactful. And I think that it opened doors, because mine was, I would say, more of an academic excellence. Of course, the other things were realized after that, and other gifts. But I think that original one was my academic ability. And for me, I think that opened doors that I didn't even know I wanted to walk through, that I don't even know if I was ready to walk through. But it opened so many different doors, just unlocking things, unlocking spaces, unlocking community that I didn't even know was possible. I don't even know if I was curious as to what was behind these doors that might have been closed off to me because of, my gender, because of my um socioeconomic status, like because of all of these different factors, because of my race, because of what I look like, unlocked so many doors to where I was undeniable. You could no longer, in a lot of different entities, you can't deny me because you want to, right? Like, only person that can, close these doors is, is who I believe in, is Jesus Christ. So if you're not him, you have no access to these doors that he's unlocked for me. I think, the like you said, my superpower is the thing that let me know that these doors were opening, and that I could walk in, but and helped unlock these for me, but I wasn't even aware. So if I can't stop myself from having these opportunities, neither can you. I think that was something that was also just very enlightening for me, to help me and motivate me, that what God has for you is for you. Walk in that, like, go in there, do it scared, because even though you might not feel ready or equipped, um there is something that is making you equipped. It is something that is opening these doors, and there's no reason for you to miss out on these opportunities, to not walk in because of fear or whatever anybody else is saying, because at the end of the day, the door's open. So walk in.
That's straight faith right there. And the reason why I say that is being aware to know that the door is open, even though the door is closed.
Mm,
That is straight faith to believe, like, okay, I got this situation, I got this before me.
mm-hmm.
It looks this way, but that's not going to be the outcome, because my faith let me know that the door is open.
Yeah, the door is open, and I need to, I have to. There are so many people that are bound, or that cannot, are denied access for whatever reasons, and here you are with an opportunity. Here you are with this thing that other people, so many other people that look like you, don't have access to. And for you to not walk in that because of your own fear of what's going to happen, is criminal. You can't, you can't not do this thing. I'm not going to say that I don't have opportunities, or I haven't had things that have passed me by because of my own fear, or being afraid, or lacking confidence in myself, but also realizing, that that those are things that shouldn't have happened. I should have, walked through the had these I should have walked through those doors, and doing my best going forward to not let fear hold me back, and to walk in faith. Sarah Jake says something that I live by, and it's do it scared. Do that thing scared. If the Lord has opened this door, if you are getting the opportunity to break a barrier that, or cross a line that nobody else has crossed, go. Go and do it scared. And, you'll be better because of it. Like I said, with some of the opportunities that you have given me, you will be so much better because of it. You will bless so many other people by just doing it. Don't worry about if you got it. If you feel like you have it all together, don't worry about if you feel equipped. Don't worry about if you don't have the confidence. Just try, and the way will be made straight for you if you just believe and have that faith, not even in yourself, but, well, and I know for some people, for yourself, it will be for yourself, but not even just in yourself, but if you're a believer in God, that he's capable and able of sustaining you when you get there, or when you're going through it. But all right now is that I'm in front of this door and I have this opportunity, and the answer is yes. The directive is to do it.
Wow. So, listening to you, I can tell that your faith is very important in your journey in life. I can tell that your superpower is connected to a higher power, and you definitely honor, Jesus as being your God and your Lord and your Savior, and you connect everything you do with Him. Your self discovery is connected with Him. Your ability to jump over hurdles, and jump through hoops is because of your faith, right? So earlier you talked about, you growing up in church, and you didn't really accept that God or Him in that light. What was
Yeah.
what was the turning point that made you like, okay, I was raised in church. This is what I was taught. I didn't necessarily believe it. Or how was that? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, yeah. I just think it was a lot of also just that lack of confidence. I think even growing up, so hearing the word of God, but one not understanding, um, you know, not even having confidence that, whatever this gift, the gift of salvation is, I'm not I'm not worthy of it. So this is one of the doors that has been open that I let sit dormant open for years and not walk through, because I didn't believe that I was equipped. That how could he love me, in like all of that, all of the mess that I am. I don't really have anything. People tell me that I'm not worthy, and people tell me that I'm not this or I'm not that. um how can you believe that you are deserving of whatever this gift is on the other side of this door? You as an imperfect person. And people could have been telling me, yes, that God loves imperfect people, but what I saw around me growing up, it didn't match that. you know Everyone seemed perfect, everyone seemed like they had it together. Nobody A lot of people weren't open about their struggles, and those that were, you know seemed to kind of fall by the wayside. And so it was just like, well, of course you don't make the cut. That was the internal narrative that was in my head. And having to get to a place where then I'm like, okay, I won't make the cut, and that's okay. I accept that. So I know Jesus, I can fit in. When the people are having the conversations, I can look the part, I can do the things. Um, but I just know in my heart of hearts, that I just don't have it. I don't have what it takes, and that's okay. God know me, I know him. We cool. Um, and then get into college and having a friend to tell me, no, that's not enough. Like that's not true. You are special, you are valuable, and you know, you can have a relationship with Jesus, and he desires to have a relationship with you. And once again, the door is open, walk in it. um Even in your imperfection, even though you don't feel like you're special, even though the rest of the world clearly sees that you are, and there's a gift and a light that you possess. um like walk in it and explore that. um and just really having that conversation with my friend, I think that was that turning point. And that's when the pieces fell into place, that I was supposed to come to him imperfect all along, because what would he have to fix if I already had it all? Like what would there be to fix? And everything, not everything, but some of the things that I saw growing up were an illusion. We are all just imperfect people trying to, figure it out. Like nobody, has it together. We are all work in progress, and we are all um we have none of us have arrived. We are all just doing it off the strength of Jesus. And it all just starts with a relationship, and just trying. Um and allowing yourself to be vulnerable, because that's pride. Like that's also pride. Like, oh, I don't, I'm not enough. Like that's pride in yourself, and people may not think that's pride. But even to sit there and be like, oh, who God created, this person that God has created, um you know I don't have what it takes to, like, love Jesus. You think that in that you're being humble, but really that's pride too. to say that this creation that God has made is not capable of loving, their father. Um, so having to get out of that and humble myself and come broken
Right.
so that
So it
he
seemed
could
like
put
you
me
went through a
together.
it seemed like you went through a phase of deconstructing, you know,
Mhm.
learning, hey, I don't have to be perfect to be loved by my creator. Um, I can honestly worship him and love him in my imperfect state or in
Mhm.
my weakness. Um, which, man, that's a whole lot to unpack. I could go into that. I often say this, and I had a conversation with a pastor a long time ago about my fall and the things that I've done and stuff I got into. And part
Mhm.
of that was the same way you was thinking. I
Yeah.
was thinking the same thing internally. I was just too afraid to talk about it because I didn't want nobody to think I didn't have faith. So I understand completely where you were. You're like, let me just go through the motions of it, didn't completely understand relationship compared to religion. Religion is your practice. Relationship is this simple. Like, I am
Yeah.
loved by you because you love me, not because of how perfect I am.
Yeah. And you had like I was somebody that actively, watched you have your deconstruction, right? Like I watched that. I'm someone who saw you, ministering and in ministry and looking so perfect and having it together. And of course, like in my mind, like, this is what God this is what God wants, this is the epitome of like what I'm supposed to be doing. I can't shout like that. I can't sing like that. Like the confidence that you have when you would sing and all of these things, like those are things that like I admired so much. And when you had your own, deconstruction and trying to find your way, after struggling with the things that, had always probably been there all along, um, watching that was so powerful to me, and to find your way back to Christ because Christ had never left you.
Absolutely.
It was always, on you, and he was always still with you throughout that whole time. And getting to see you find your way back and love God in a way that made you better because of it, that's something that I admire too. Like that helped me to see that I don't have to be perfect. Like God loves me through whatever that I'm going through. These when the girl was telling me, these were the stories that I pulled from, and I remembered that, hey, it's not about, putting on and being on the stage and whatever the case may be. It's about your heart posture, and it's about you aligning yourself to be used by him. And so that was impactful for me. um like I had never seen, something so raw and something so hard, like you coming back to Christ after something like that. Like, Darnell, you don't know, like that is the stuff that brings people. This is the stuff that draws the people. The stories in the Bible weren't about these perfect people, or people even really trying to pretend to be perfect.
They
You
was
know,
messed up.
they was them. Okay,
They one of my favorite characters, David. David was a thought. I mean, we don't like talking about that, but
I
he
don't
was a
like it.
thought.
But he
Yeah.
was, and he's also, one of the heroes like of our faith,
Mhm.
right? So that just lets you know that you don't have to be like, you don't even have to put on to be, show people who you are authentically. Let people know what you're struggling with. This is why, I do what I do. I tell people, hey, I'm scared. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't remember scripture very well. I ain't gonna lie. It's hard for me to read my Bible. Or when I walk in these spaces, I'm not as confident as I look,
You
so
you
being
look
trans
you look very confident. I'm telling you. Um, I remember you walking into GLYC with a panel discussion, and you walked in so eloquently, like, well, look at my little cousin, looking bougie with her cute self. And you sat down, and when you begin to open your mouth, so much wisdom because you was very young at the time. I think you was still in high school.
Oh, I was still in high school
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I think, or I might
and
have been either freshman in college, one or the two, either
yeah,
high school, college, freshman.
somewhere
Yeah.
in that space, and you sat there and you spoke so eloquently and spoke from your heart.
Mhm.
You spoke um from the ears of the streets or the ground of
Mhm.
where you were at, so you understood the flight of your generation and what you all needed, not
Mhm.
from my generation or higher, because our fights are somewhat different. But you spoke, I'm like, man, this girl is so intelligent, and you said, and it was so on point, and your statement began to open up so many questions. Statements were being made, and I remember the pour from other people where everybody started like, "Hey, I got something I need to say," and then it just became a
Mm.
hodgepodge of freedom because there was so much
Wow.
transparency that was taking place at that moment. So you talking about doing it scared, and you talking about your fear, but it seemed like your fear has always pushed you into doing things. It's like you are certifiedly a thug.
Because can I tell you, like, even here recently, like you said, that fear pushing you.
Yeah.
I had I'm in a Bible study group, and my group leader was gonna be out, and she goes, "Okay, so I'm gonna be out. Who can fill in for me, and lead the group while I'm gone in my absence." And so I raised my hand to be like, "Oh, hey," no one was saying anything. So I was like, "Hey, I can't do it. I don't want to do it." Like, because I feel like it was rude. Nobody was saying anything. I was like, "Oh, I can't." And she was like, "Oh, it's so funny because I was gonna ask you." Like, and she was turning toward me, in the middle of the dead silence. She did kind of turn toward me, and I was like, "Oh, I was just gonna say I don't want to do it. I don't want to be rude and no one say anything." And she was like, "You were actually my choice. Like, you were who I was gonna ask." And I just thought that was it was just so reflected of the rest, like my whole life. This is always how it has been. And just a testament to, I feel like it's going to always be like this. So I might as well buckle in because it's going to be like this. So I will take my, badge of honor as being a thug. I will take that, because that's just what it's going to be. I see,
you
that's
you
the game I'm
operate
playing.
you operate in like, like there's no fear, like when we think about thuggish people, we feel like they're not scared of anything, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
that's what you exude. You are a woman of strength, a woman of character, um and you have been surrounded by great female leaders.
Ooh, tell me
Great,
about it.
great female leaders, may not have been perfect, but great leaders.
Great. Yeah, a lot
um
of them.
yeah, your mom was one, I know for sure.
Man,
We can write a book.
we could write a book about her, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I tell, like, when I talk about her, and me, you had our conversations, um, the wisdom that she carried. I know that's leader number one. I mean,
That's number one.
I can talk about going far as back as being 14. Your mom always been a leader, so that strength, you had an opportunity to see that, and then for years you set up on a female pastor. You know,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
he was a great leader. You got a chance to see that authority be
Mhm.
exuded and leading people through tough moments. You got a chance to see that, and you talked about your teachers. You
Yeah.
know, you watched them. So now we're getting down to you. Now you seeing all of this, and you patting yourself after different people. You use this analogy like putting on a mask until it becomes you. And you
Yeah.
said something similar to that.
Mhm.
So when did you know that you was that leader,
When did I know that I was that leader? When did I know I was that girl?
that woman?
That woman. When did I know I was her? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. When did I know I was a leader? I don't know. That's the one thing I don't know.
Do you feel like you're still
When
becoming? Because I feel
Yeah,
like when people tell me
absolutely.
stuff about myself, like I'll be like, I ain't there yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. I
But
have not arrived. I don't know. Like I can't pinpoint a moment where because when I think of a leader, I think of someone, and this could be, of course, this might not be truth, right? But in my own personal opinion, when I think of a leader, I think of someone who does it and leads the people without fear. Like I don't know, I just know the way that I'm shaking in my boots about almost literally everything that I do and sweating bullets. I just don't consider myself, I'm not gonna say I know that I'm a leader. I do know that. I know that I'm a leader. I just I just can't pinpoint an exact moment where I had led in full confidence, with my head held high and my shoulders back and walked into a situation ready to lead. Feeling ready or equipped. I've never walked into a situation feeling that way. Um, like I said, sometimes it just feels like, the door opens without me even trying, or either, I'm walking into something that I don't even fully know if I'm prepared for. So I don't think that I've had, that moment that I'm just like, oh wow, like I really am, I'm her. Like I'm that leader. I'm her. I'm that woman. I'm that girl. Like I don't know. But I think I'm still becoming, like you said. Still becoming, still figuring that out. So give me another 25
no,
years. No, give me another 25, and maybe I can give it to you. I can probably fill
I
it out.
think even then, you may feel like that you're not that woman that I think a lot of times, like the reason why I pose that question that way, because I'm from the outside. I'm not in your mind and your
Yeah,
thoughts. um to me, from outside looking in, you are that woman, you are that
yeah,
leader. It's not so much like, you perfect, or you know what to do in situations, but I know personally that some stuff that came about, that you took the role of like, let's direct it this way, because if you go there, there's a possibility that this may happen. You know how to look at things from different angles. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So in saying that, when I look at you, it's like I said, I because you family, I know. So you like, and then people heeded to your voice,
Mm.
and like, okay, Asia said this, so this is what we need to do.
Oh, story of my life. Like you said, your family, so that I think even at a young age, I love that you said the heated to your voice. You know, I didn't even think I had a voice, and not even connecting that the voice that I had, because it starts within the home. The way that my aunts and my mother, as grown women, seasoned women, my mama know a lot about life. She knows so much about life. So wise. And even seeing her submit to, like, Asia, what do you think? What do you think? Giving me a voice and an opinion in a world where kids ain't got no voice.
They don't.
Kids
No.
don't have a say so, and having a seat at a table with these wonderful women that were raising me, and of course at an appropriate time, but as I became a teenager, and was going into womanhood, you know having asking for my opinion and my perspective on things, or them seeking my direction, um you know gassing me up, telling me like, you are special, you're amazing, and what do you think? Your opinions are valuable and your thoughts are so wise. And I would always just be like, hey, why am I in it? Why are you even asking me? You know, I don't know what to do. I've never had this, or I've never done this. But also them entrusting me to do it scared, to make decisions and to decide and help them, and guide them on things, that's unheard of, and a lot of times, like, the Black community, that's unheard of. Why is that child talking? Why does she have a voice? or even being
Right.
a woman. Like, why is she getting an opinion on this? But for them to allow me to have that, you know, within reason, but that was so impactful, and that gave room for me to, when the opportunity presented itself for me to actually, at these different spaces and tables, having a say so and speaking up and saying something, because my role models gave me the space to do that, or the people that I look up to, they align me to be able to have voice. Like, hey, get up there and say this or speak, or whatever you're thinking, speak it out of your mouth, and that gave way for me to be able to do that in my life currently, and speak up when I need to. So yeah, it felt weird growing up. Like, why are y'all even to me, like, why are y'all asking me this, or why do you want me to do this?
Right.
I don't possess any of these qualities. But once again, doing it, doing the thing, despite what you think, and just going with it until it becomes who you are.
Absolutely. We're down to the last minutes of our conversation. It's been a
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
conversation, and I am thoroughly enjoying talking to you. Seriously, and you got to come back. You gonna have to come back and talk to us. What I want to ask you was, before we close, because I got
Okay.
two parts of things I want to do. What were some things that was said to you that was negative, that was impactful, but you challenge yourself to not allow those things become your reality?
Oh, things that were said to me that I didn't allow to become my reality. Um, I think that, because I think some things still, stick with me, and I'm still actively working through those things. So a little bit of, vulnerability. But, I think growing up, I was told that, because of, I think, my disobedience, in a moment, that, I wouldn't be successful. Um, and I wouldn't, succeed because of the fact that in a small moment, I was doing something that they consider disobedient. And but I allowed that, to push me. I didn't accept that because it was also contradictory. That's why you don't let feelings, this is why you don't let your feelings get involved in certain things, because then you sometimes, when you speak from a feeling, you tend to say things you might not mean, or that you're spewing out something that
That's
isn't
true.
true. And so just in a moment of, being upset, and that's something that you have to watch out for when you're in a leadership position, because that is something, someone that I looked up to said to me, out of a moment of just speaking out of feelings and feeling disrespected. um, but I knew it was contradictory, because I knew that they believed in me, and I knew that they didn't mean that. But that was something that they spoke over my life, in a split moment, and I don't believe they meant that. Well, they might have meant that, but at the end of the day, I think they also saw the light within me, because if you didn't see the light, I don't know why else you would try to dim it.
Right.
Exactly. You saw that light. And so even when I didn't see it, you saw that. But yeah, just having to work past that, and continue to believe the people like yourself, like my mother, like these wonderful community figures, were pouring into me, believing that more. So even though there was probably a part of me that held on to that, believing you all more and my loved ones more, until it drowned out the noise of whatever that was. And yeah, that's how I got through that. And I don't know that it necessarily fueled me, but I definitely know I've overcome that, and I am the total opposite of whatever that was spoken over my life. And I thank God for it.
That's what's up, fam. That's what's up. Listen, I need you to talk to our listeners
Okay.
and tell them how they could overcome any obstacles and still come out on top with a smile on their face.
Okay. Um, Now, I don't know, you know, who this is for. You know, I don't know who's listening, but I pray that I say something that resonates with you in this moment. And I pray that throughout this podcast that there is something that inspires you or you helps you to get past whatever the obstacle is in your life. It may look a lot different than my story, but I pray that um, it resonates with you and that it aligns with in some way with whatever is happening in your life. um but do it scared. you know don't let the fear hold you back from what is in front of you. What is for you is always going to be for you, and no matter what you do, what you think of yourself, what anyone says about you, it cannot prevent you from what is already for you. You ain't finna you can't talk yourself out no blessing, because if it was for you, it's always had your name on it. Um, so don't let fear bind you. Don't let others' perceptions of you bind you. Walk in not even maybe who you are right now. Walk in that future version of you. Walk in who people believe in you to be. Walk in the most confident version of yourself. Even if it doesn't feel like it, do it anyway. Do it scared, do it confused, do it broken. Because at the end of the day, you are gonna do it. You're gonna get through it and you're gonna make it. So yeah, keep your head up, woman, man, sister, brother, keep your head up, and your shoulders back, and believe in you, because you can do it.
What a word of encouragement from Adriana Wolford. Will y'all please give her an emoji round of applause? We do thank her for agreeing to be on the Conversation Podcast. Look, my eyes been watering the whole time. These
No.
allergies are kicking my tail. Um,
Are you sure it's allergies, or are you tearing up a bit? Let me know, because
you know,
I don't know.
just a little bit. I start kind of tearing up, just a
Mm,
tiny, but I
mm.
kind of put my emotions back. You know,
But real quick, Darnell, before we end, can I shout out a couple of wonderful ladies during Women's History Month
most
that have
definitely.
inspired me? Shout out to my mom, Chantel
Whoop,
Wolford
whoop.
Johnson. Shout out to my number one. Shout out to my auntie Quita, auntie Mika. Love
Yeah.
y'all so very much, and thank y'all for all that you've instilled in me. So many other inspiring women that I have just been connected to. Just to name a few. Middle school, Lola Cross, Deborah Stewart. She was very impactful in helping me to become who I am today. All of the wonderful women that I grew up in church with. Shay Stewart, love you so much. So many, Renee, love all of y'all so very much. And anybody else, Andrea, Payne Jones, love you so much. And a lot of the other wonderful women, Stephanie, Melody, all of you all. Thank y'all so much for all that you done for me and continue to do for me, all that you pour into me. And if I did not say your name, please know, and you've had a direct impact on my life, please know that I also mean you too. Yes, you. Thank you so much for giving me this space, Darnell, too. I thank you too. I got to shout you out, even though,
You
that
ain't
was a
got to do it, baby girl.
women's history, shout out. Had to shout out my ladies, but also to you, Darnell. I love you.
I love you too. I love you too. This is definitely a great conversation. I definitely honor all the women that's been impactful in my life, and every year we try to take this month out to honor women who have inspired and paved the way, so that I can sit here in the seat and have this conversation with Adriana and talk about the conversations that we have. Look, we love you, and we will see you on the next round on the Conversation Podcast. You have a good night. God bless you all. Peace out.
God bless.